Oh, hello there. Yes, well, it turned out nice again, didn't it? Yes, anyway. Ooh, Friday. Anyway, Farage didn't get to go on the leaders thing last night, which meant that the Farage fanboy front, the FFF, were very upset, but the BBC have given him a special slot, so that's good then. Yes, makes it fair, doesn't it? A bit like the Greens. Oh, no, it isn't like the Greens, actually. No, they don't count, because even though if you're riding high in the opinion polls, it only counts if you're a special type of man with a particular tweed jacket. I believe that's the way it works. Anyway, talking of tweed jackets, yesterday, the day before, in fact, Glinner, bless him, was in Dublin for a free speech conference where it was all free speechy and he was in free speech stuff, which is really good, isn't it? Except, of course, it was, as I pointed out before, for the ADF International, yes. And it's a bit strange, you see. I mean, one of the problems, amongst the enormously large number of problems I have with Graham Linehan and the rest of the women's rights crews is I seem to be very, very picky about which particular women's rights it is and which particular organisations in and around women's rights they are supporting. So he went to this conference in Dublin, handy, I guess, if you want to see some relatives or something, and there are lots of free speech types there. There was, for example, there was Andy No, there he is, or they're on the extreme right, Fanar. Anyway, who is a very, very good friend of loads of fascist groups like the Proud Boys in America. Yes, anyway, he's a free speech guy, isn't he? Yeah, because it's important that we have a wide range of voice from him. Yeah, and of course there's Friar Calvin, everyone's favourite Christo-fascist, who has a really positive attitude to gay people and abortion and women, and Lawrence Fox. Well, maybe not Lawrence Fox. Or is it the other ones? Oh, yes, the other ones, isn't it? Yes, and, all the usual suspects like Doyle turned up as well. But the thing about the ADF, as I have briefly pointed out beforehand, of course, is that they are one of those nasty, very well-funded American religious groupings. Let's have a look at the kind of thing they're interested in. ADF International advances the God-given right to live and speak the truth. Yeah, you see, all that stuff we got comes from God. It's good, isn't it? Yeah, there's life is safeguarded, religious freedom prevails, all can speak freely, marriage and the family are protected, parental rights are safeguarded, and mom's apple pie. Yeah, all that stuff you can't possibly disagree with. And if you're wondering the type of things they do in the UK, it's worthwhile on the same site, they highlight Isabel Vaughan Spruce, who's a charity volunteer in the United Kingdom, which is good, isn't it? It's nice that they do things in the UK, so I'm grateful to them for the legal counsel ADF International has given me for all the support of all the team during this ordeal. And you think, I wonder what the ordeal is. There must be some female-related ordeal. Yeah, well, apparently, right, she's the woman who was arrested for silently praying outside abortion clinics. Breaking the law because there was an exclusion zone which she decided that she wasn't going to obey because apparently God told her. And that's the ADF for you. That's it. Haranguing women at very vulnerable times. And these are the people that Glinner hangs around with. Still, that's okay, because nobody in the British media will ask him awkward questions about that. And if they do, they'll be wrong, won't they? Yes. And talking of such things, we've also had the delights of various other very concerned women and about women's issues. On the Labour Party, we've had Thangham Debonair and Rosie Duffield, and they're both refusing to take part in hustings because of all the dreaded roaming gangs of well-organised trars and anarchists and mutant three-headed dangerous things or something. Yes, and here she is, here's Thangham, who's for Bristol Central, wearing all these colours. Now, I'm a bit worried about those colours because you can see that she's in a very public space, and I'm worried that children might see her and be indoctrinated by her. We'll come back to that particular one. But the odd thing about the whole Rosie Duffield in particular about not attending hustings is that it turns out that she's not actually at danger of roaming gangs of trars and mutants, and I'm still thinking of Judge Dredd, really. That's where I get roaming gangs from. Anyway, it turns out that her reasoning for not doing the hustings is, and well, let's quote to this. It just got to the stage where this kind of incitement was too much. People saying, let's get Duffield at this event or whatever. I think I realised these public events like hustings, if these people kept following me around and yelling, it would really damage the whole process of giving everyone on that platform a voice. And I've done those hustings lots and lots of times before, really enjoyed them, but some of my fellow candidates haven't ever had the chance to do that. I felt they deserved the right to speak freely without being yelled at by a few vitriolic people. So nothing about the threats or safety there, but confirmation that Duffield wanted to avoid what she calls a few vitriolic people. Yeah, and the few vitriolic people are basically, as she was pointing out, were people who were predominantly ex-members of the Labour Party who have some knowledge of her and are unhappy with her. And I was thinking to myself, well, okay, you might not want to be shouted at, and you might spuriously think that other people shouldn't have to go through that as well. But what's another word for people that are concerned about local issues that turn up for a hustings? And then I realised it's voter, right? And I'm sorry for these people if they feel that they have views that people find distasteful, but that is part of the democratic process, yeah? I mean, I put these videos up and people tell me I'm wrong all the time. Okay, I can just decide not to do it if I want to. That's my choice. But if I'm taking part in something, then I have to accept what goes with it. Yeah, you can't just bend the rules because people are a bit unpleasant to you simply because, you wear the wrong colours, you're indoctrinated, all that stuff, right? And the odd thing about this as well, if you think about where Canterbury is, it's down there, isn't it, in Kent, yeah, is one of the sort of half an hour's car drive away is the constituency of Battle and Bexhill, my old stomping ground, where the Party of Women have put up a candidate. And if you look at Anna Ultra's site, good name there, I don't think Anna's her real name, actually, I think it's just Ultra. But anyway, if you look at her site, there is nothing about her being, oppressed by roaming gangs of mutants. So, how come Rosie is being targeted by all these massive, huge numbers of evil people, but an actual Posey Parker type basically gets nothing? And you have to say to yourself, well, what, are these just very, very slack anarchists? Or are there just not many of them? Or is it specifically to do with a group of people within Rosie Duffield's own constituency who have knowledge of her, who don't like her? I don't know, but it's very, very odd that these anarchists are so picky about things that they don't actually have a go at, the actual Ultra. And speaking of Rosie Duffield and her particular school, and indeed other things, right, we get this. Because having had James S's, bless him, please do give him some money. Do give James some money, please. Anyway, yeah, posting up about a school in Whitstable, Rosie Duffield's constituency, putting up pride flags, which has now made the Daily Mail. Yeah, Baroness Foster says it's indoctrination to put up flags, which led me to believe about the whole thing about individual MPs wearing colours. Does that indoctrinate people to become a bigot? I don't know. Perhaps what we need to do is put like debonair in a room full of 4-year-olds and see how many of them then become transphobic bigots. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. There's a definite experiment there, though, and you'd have very, very good control groups because you could put another group of 4-year-olds in with some pride flags and see how many of them become desperate roaming gangs of mutants. Don't know. It might work. Let's think about it. Anyway, leaving all that aside, yes. So we have this school in Whitstable who, having blocked James very, very sensibly, because the guy is a nasty transphobe. Let's face it, and he's even basically a homophobe as well when it comes down to it, because he just doesn't like the flag, even though he doesn't live there, even though has no skin in the game, does he? Other than it keeps him busily employed and off the streets and away from Childline and other places. But we have this spurious notion that to be shown colours is indoctrination, but it doesn't work in the other places. Anyway, better wrap this up. But if you are in Canterbury and if you are in Bristol Central, it might be an idea to think about where to place your votes. Yeah, it might be. The Labour Party don't need MPs like those two. Yeah. And perhaps the world doesn't need the ADF and Glinner and James S's and various concerned Christians that pretend that what they're concerned about is children, or pretend that they're concerned about women, whereas their actual actions just are basically saying, I'm just a nasty bigot and I reserve the right all the time to be a nasty bigot. Yes. Anyway, do have a lovely Friday. It's the end of a bit of a slack week for me. Never mind. We will try and have a productive weekend. That's what I need to do. Yeah. Take care.